Do you have questions concerning planning a Disney trip? Ask them live on the show or submit them on our website at patmdisneytravel.wixsite.com/planning. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Matt with the DPI Podcast. We have an early start tonight. We've got things to do, so we're going to get in, get out, talk some Disneyland, have a top three about some differences between Disneyland and Disney World, and then we're going to get out of here. And we will catch up on the news a little bit later this week. So, should be a fun show. Got Peter with Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel, and we will be rocking here in about a minute. See ya. Hi, I'm Matt. Welcome to Disney Planning Insights. Through creative content and live shows, we explain the hidden details of the Disney experience so that our clients can execute memorable adventures. Together with Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel, we have helped hundreds of clients plan, book, and prepare for magical Disney vacations. Let our experience help you avoid common planning mistakes and maximize the enjoyment on your next Disney trip. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Matt with the Disney Planning Insights Podcast. It is a Tuesday. We're back from Disneyland, and Peter is over on the other screen opening up Lorcana cards. So we'll get to him here in a second. But yeah, great trip. We're going to talk a little bit about it tonight. And then if you are here for the news tonight, we will catch up on the news a little bit later. We do have some D23 news. We've got some cruise news. So we got some stuff to definitely talk about once we get to that point this week. But we figured this conversation was going to be rather lengthy, so we figured we'd get a little bit of an early start and then kind of go from there. You could hear it in Peter's microphone, the cards opening. So let me bring out Mr. Salvadori and we'll get moving here. Peter, how you doing tonight?
Pluto. Baboon. I was just telling Matt that I have a lot of Lorcana cards to either open or use as business fodder when the store opens.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, Peter, along with a few other people, will be opening a game store, board games, trading cards, that kind of stuff. So as we get more news and have an opening date and a website and all that kind of stuff, we'll let you guys know if you are into that kind of stuff. But let's go ahead, because I know we both kind of have other things going on. Let's go ahead and get into the discussion. So just got back from Disneyland. Really, really cool trip. 5 days at the parks, so we did spend some time there the day we flew in, and then we had 2 days at each park. I tour the parks a lot differently than other people. I don't park hop. And we had that on the original tickets, and then I took it off and added the 5th day. Because we just don't jump from park to park a whole lot. So
but now, after going to Disneyland, how much do you regret that?
None at all, because we could still take a whole day at their Magic Kingdom and still not do everything that we haven't done yet.
Easily, but it's pretty awesome to go mess around Disneyland and then walk 150 feet into California Adventure, grab a beer, enjoy it, and then go back over to Disneyland.
Yeah, you could definitely do that. I mean, the parks are that close. They're closer in proximity than the gates at Paris were. So Paris, you had a big kind of walkway, and then you had to go over to the other park. Land is literally right across the entrance. It's
yeah. I
crazy.
always say like if you give me a clear line, I can very easily roll a golf ball from one to the other.
Yes. Yes.
Easily.
So, biggest things that we noticed. Okay, so day one, we got there. We landed in Santa Ana about 10:30, 11 o'clock. We ended up getting to the park about noon. We were able to check in at our hotel. We stayed up by the convention center, and we had about a 3/4 of a mile walk into the park. Lots
It's a
of
pretty
walking.
easy walk, honestly.
It is an easy walk. I mean, honestly, when we think about it, it was 4 lights. So you have the light right in front of Disneyland. There's a light for the buses, for the art line. There's a light at the 7-Eleven, and then the convention center hotels are at the next light. So about...
Yeah, I think you literally stayed where I stayed the first time that I went several years ago, because I would always come out of, I think, is it a Marriott that's the back hotel of that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I was in that Marriott, and I would come out, and I kind of figured out the way to kind of pop out on the street by the 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, so you could go down the back alley. We went down the back alley once. We decided that was enough for us. And we went over to the main road every other time. We went over to Harbor every other time. But yeah, so that was the biggest thing that we noticed right away is kind of, you only have 3 hotels, 3 Disney hotels there, but everything else is good neighbor, and everything else is in close proximity. I mean, basically the park is outlined in hotels.
Yeah, pretty much.
Center.
And did you guys venture down that strip any further? Like, did you go find the ice cream shop or any of the other local favorites down there?
So we didn't go down Harbor past the park entrance, but we did
Look the other way.
Oh no! We ended up every night that we went back, it was straight to the hotel. We were absolutely beat every night. So
yeah, last time I was there this summer, I stayed about a mile away from the park, basically at the end of Harbor. Harbor kind of like dead ends to an industrial park area, and my hotel was kind of down that road. And so I took a nice long walk one night, a little over a mile from my hotel. Every other time I Ubered. And that's a neat long walk, and there's some pretty interesting things down Harbor that are kind of fun, kind of extra-y things that are clearly built up due to the convention center and Disneyland being right there.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about, okay, so I have some questions. Okay, so this is going to be a whole show of top 3s, right? Because then you and I are going to do a top 3.
Yeah.
What was your favorite? I saw that you guys did at least one character meal. Did you do more than one or just the one?
We did 3.
Okay, so of the 3 character meals, favorite character meal, go.
Goofy's Kitchen.
And that Goofy's Kitchen, excuse me, is the one in Disneyland Hotel or the one in Grand California?
It is the one in Disneyland Hotel. And I think it being in Disneyland Hotel is what made it our favorite, because that was actually the last one we did. But Disneyland Hotel was really the only place that we went, and this is going to sound really weird, that we felt like we were at Disney.
Huh.
As soon as we walked into Disneyland Hotel, so we Ubered over from our hotel to Disneyland Hotel and drop off at the main entrance. You walk in that main entrance, and it is the big old map of the park. And then you get hit with that unique aroma, which all of the hotels, or at least your deluxes and your moderates at World, have their own scent. Disneyland Hotel has its own scent.
Yeah, it's a little, well, so does Grand Californian. But yeah, it's a little different than the walk past the homeless person curled up in a blanket on the slight hill next to 7-Eleven.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, slightly different scent.
But Goofy's Kitchen in Disneyland Hotel, it's actually kind of in like the lagoon area, which is really cool. It's got its own entrance from the outside, and great picture with Goofy in his kitchen to start. So think about like Chef Mickey's, but you get a character picture in that photo spot as well. So we actually got two because Pluto was there because there was something wrong with Goofy when we went through the first time, but they said, come back after your meal. If Goofy's back, get a picture with Goofy. So we did Pluto in the kitchen first, and then we came back after the meal, and Goofy was in the kitchen. In the actual dining area, it was Pluto, Chip, Dale, and Minnie were the characters in there. So basically your fab characters, but at Disneyland, Chip and Dale are in everything. Everything has Chip and Dale. So, and by far the best character interactions that we had were with Chip at almost every restaurant. So, but yeah, it's very much a Chef Mickey's, but think of Chef Mickey's if it was like all three meals at once. Because we were able to stand at an omelet station, grab some mozzarella sticks, get a bowl of ice cream, some olives, and put them all on the same plate with a bowl of cereal and take them back.
What time of day were you there?
We were there at 11 o'clock.
That makes sense.
Yeah, we were right at the switch, which was exactly what we wanted to do, is we wanted to be there right at the switch over.
Because you wanted olive ice cream on cereal.
Yeah, it was a happy coincidence that everything was there at the same time.
I don't know if I've ever considered olive ice cream a happy coincidence.
Talk to Braden. He might change your mind.
I doubt it. Okay, so then favorite non-character meal?
Every sit down that we ate at was really good.
Yeah.
Wine
Did
Country,
you have the Monte Cristo at Cafe Orleans?
We did.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
It is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And
Did you get the man catching beignets adjacent to that?
we did not get beignets. We did not get beignets until Goofy's Kitchen, which kind of, I don't know. We wanted to get the beignets at Tiana's Palace, but when we left that meal, so we had Cafe Orleans the day we got there. When we left that meal, we were sleepwalking back to the hotel, and this was like at 6 o'clock. We ended up doing Pirates after that meal and went home.
So good.
Yeah, but that was really good. We ate at Wine Country Trattoria over at DCA.
Oh, yep.
Holy crow, good food.
Yeah.
Shannon and I had the chicken parmesan. Allie had the bolognese, and then Braden had the pasta kids plate. Every single one of them fantastic. And then we figured out that, so we did it as the World of Color 1 dining event as well. So we got the VIP passes for that.
Yep.
So I was planning on taping that night anyway. So we got the only virtual queue that they have right now is for World of Color 1.
Right.
So you virtual queue the 9 o'clock show, and then we got the VIP dining event tickets for the 10 o'clock show, the 10:15 show. There were 7 of us in the VIP section at 10:15. And the other group, they took over to the seated VIP section, so we were the only ones there just because I had the camera equipment set up. So it was a solid get at California Adventure. But yeah, overall, food wise, we did a bunch of stuff for Food and Wine Festival. I got my Food and Wine Festival spirit jersey on. Yeah. So we did a bunch of stuff there. We did the Impossible Chicken Parmesan. We did the top sirloin with the garlic chimichurri. We did the charcuterie flatbread, the cannoli churros, the we did a lot. So yeah, so
Oh, you're getting me excited, man. I'm a week and a half away. Week and a half away from Flower and Garden.
yeah, it was. So one thing nice about their food and wine, and this is something that Epcot should do. They have what's called a sip and savor pass.
Yeah, you buy it and it's like scan or like checks off of a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were able to buy. We bought an 8-item sip and savor pass. It was $61. So you basically had to average a little over $7 an item to get your money back, and that was easy to do with 3 of us eating off of it. So,
Yep.
Yeah, it worked out really well.
Yeah, I have seen that sip and savor pass. That's definitely a really smart way to approach the festival over there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, but with the return of the dining plan, we've got that. I'm very excited about that next week because we went hook, line, and sinker on the dining plan because I did the calculations, and because Bryce's meals are going to be labeled as adult quick services, I will be able to do the get an alcoholic beverage in every one of those meals type of a thing.
Yeah.
And I think so. I'm very much looking. I am going to write down the list price of every item I get, and then I am going to total it up and see, did I in fact spend $93 a day or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I digress. We can talk all about is the dining plan still worth it at Disney World on a future day. What was right? So some of the rides are just straight up carbon copies, like the Voyage of the Little Mermaid, stinking carbon copy.
Yes.
Right. Plenty of things are just straight up carbon copies. The rides over in Galaxy's Edge, carbon copies. What was we're going to go, all right, so what was your favorite, what you would consider thrill ride while you were there? And if you want to cheat, you can go with one in land and one in adventure if you want.
Okay. That makes it a little easier. Adventure is really a toss-up between 2, but I liked Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout.
What was the other one? Credit Coaster?
No, Incredicoaster was closed. Yeah, so we didn't get the ride in Incredicoaster.
Incredicoaster is so fun.
The Radiator Springs Racers was awesome.
Yeah. Which we don't need to talk much about that because I have a feeling that's going to come up in the next segment.
Yeah.
So Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, which is a reskinned Hollywood Tower of Terror, was your favorite thrill ride. So let's not get into too many details because, again, I feel like some of these might come back in our top 3 favorite differences now that you and I can have a comparative conversation with one another. I will work very hard to get to Paris so that we can have that conversation as well. What about, like, what was your favorite dark ride? Because one of my this might come up in the top 3, but Disneyland definitely has more dark rides than, those Omnimover style churn them through people. Disneyland definitely has more of those than Disney World. And just curious, did you do them all? Did you get Snow White and Mr. Toad and
we didn't get Peter Pan. I think Peter Pan.
Oh, that's a remake.
Yeah, so Peter Pan was the only dark ride that we didn't get to.
Okay, so what was your favorite dark ride over in Disneyland? Because California Adventure doesn't really have any dark rides.
No. Their Pirates is really good. And it's very similar to Worlds, but there's enough differences that it's really hard to beat.
The boat ride.
Yeah.
The first half of the boat ride is different.
Yeah.
So you're going with that. You're going with Pirates?
Yeah. I'm just thinking around the park, and it's just like Small Worlds. Yeah, it's cool because it's that Small World, but it wasn't spectacular by any means. Alice in Wonderland was okay. Mr. Toad. I tried to give Shane a synopsis before we got into the ride about the movie because she really hasn't watched the movie. I gave her the synopsis. She goes, "Why does Disney have a ride with hell in it?" And that was the end of that conversation. Snow White's good. The ending's better now.
Yeah, she's not dead.
Yeah, she's not dead anymore. Paris one's she's still dead. Pinocchio, it's the same Pinocchio that's in Paris for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Pirates.
Okay. And something tells me that might come up in a top 3 later on, so I won't press any further. What else? Because I've kind of rolled our way through the list, and perhaps we're exhausting it. But what else would you like to tell us about your Disneyland trip that you thought? Let's put it this way: will you and your family be back, or are you like, glad you saw it?
We'll be back. And if for one reason only, to character hunt. We saw so many characters that we never got to. There are times of day in like the town square area where they have 7 characters out there at once.
Yep.
We saw 9 characters walking from the Finding Nemo submarine journey to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just crazy the amount of characters that were out. They had the free roaming R2-D2 out. They have a ton. They just have a ton of characters for sure. Yeah.
That exactly like you said, they're just kind of like free roaming in a lot of cases. Whereas at World, well, they're very, very like set in location with specific hours.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like we're stealing from our next segment.
We are a little bit, but I think when you have to talk about Disneyland, you have to talk about a few different things. There's a lot less hotels that are Disney hotels.
Yep.
Disneyland has more rides in that park than any other park worldwide that's a Disney.
Yeah, there's tons.
And if you like characters, go on a Tuesday. I mean, it wasn't a special event. There wasn't anything going on. They're just everywhere. And if you just look around, like at one point, we were lining up to see Aladdin. We saw Genie and Moana, and Captain Hook was walking past us. And it was just like the amount of people sucks that they do off of the main thoroughfares was awesome, because talking to cast members, it was the most crowded days of the year. But when you walked around the park, it never felt like it.
Did you enjoy the Tropical Hideaway?
So we went through it twice, but never sat down and did anything at it.
So you went through it just to simply grab the Dole Whips?
So no. So we went in the first time thinking it was the entrance to the Tiki Room.
Which it was not. It's actually out of the exit down to the left.
Yes. And then we went in to watch the Tiki Room and like caught the very end of the one before us. So we had the full waiting period between, and we had to get to a reservation. So we left again and went through the Tropical Hideaway again. So
you didn't get any Dole Whips from there?
No Dole Whips. We churroed the whole
I know.
week.
I saw many churro pictures. But what's really cool about that Tropical Hideaway is in the Tiki Room, they talk about the Tropical Hideaway and You Lucky People You. And in the Tiki Room, they talk about how one of the birds is missing. They talk about where is Rosita? We can't find Rosita. And if you go down into the Tropical Hideaway, what's great about the Dole Whip is inland, it's like this moving fluid thing where you then ultimately get to a checkout counter at the end. Whereas in World, you're at a quick service restaurant, right? You're at a quick service line, just people waiting to get to the front to get your Dole Whip. And this is very like smooth and fluid. You grab your stuff here, you grab your condiments here, you pay here, and then you come out. And if you go over on the side of the Tropical Hideaway near Jungle Cruise, Rosita is sitting there and she is talking to the crowd.
Ah, nice.
Yes, so Rosita is over there in the Tropical Hideaway, which I just love. That kind of rendition of Tiki Room and how they then tied it into, like, that Dole Whip area was designed with a purpose, whereas the Dole Whip area at Magic Kingdom to me feels like it was designed for a different purpose. Yeah. Like the Tropical Hideaway was designed for, it ties into the experience, whereas the Dole Whips over at Magic Kingdom are designed for profit. So now you're going to have to go back so that you can find Rosita.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of things that we, like I said, that we never got to do. So, like, they had, like, Walt's office area was all behind the Skims. They were doing some work on that side of the town square, so we didn't really get to see Walt's office really well. Yeah, and we didn't get to everything. We got to a lot.
You and I should go. You want to go, like, next week? Oh, sorry, going to World next week. Let's go in like 3 weeks.
August 4th. We'll talk about that in the news.
I can't go August 4th.
I know.
I'm literally on here early because I have to go meet my new assistant coach because I'm now the head of the golf program. So I need to go meet my assistant coach, not at 9 p.m. at it.
All right. Well, let's get into this top three, because I feel like this top three we're going to get into more conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that button, and let's get into it.
We've already covered it.
Yeah, most of it. Business trip.
Did the people move around?
It does tingle a little bit. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Matt with the DPI podcast. Over on the other screen over there is Peter with Princesses and the Mouse, Disney Travel. And it is top three night, and if you're normally here for top three, we normally pick a chip out of this bag, but we're throwing the bag away today because we are going to do the top three differences between Walt Disney World and Disneyland. Can you tear yourself away from the Lorcana cards for 20 minutes?
Yeah. No, I'm here. I'm right here.
All right. You got 25 seconds or so.
Thinking about taking a trip to Disneyland, Disney World, maybe a Disney cruise, or one of the other amazing Disney destinations? Contact me at Princess of the Mouse, and I'd love to work with you on your itinerary to the most magical places in the world.
You can contact Princesses and the Mouse Disney Travel on Facebook at PATM Disney Travel. All right, we are going to be talking the top three differences between Disney World and Disneyland. My family and I just got back from our first Disneyland trip. Peter's been over there a couple of times. Peter, I'll go ahead and let you start because that will give you the first number one. What is your number three difference between Disney World and Disneyland? Don't give it over to me. Go for it. Go.
You go ahead.
Okay.
I'm good. I got lots of things I can say. You go for it.
I've got a lot of things I can say too. I'm going to say the number three thing is spacing. One thing that really surprised me in Disneyland was how tight everything is together. You come out of one ride and you're on top of the queue line for another ride, or you're in a restaurant, or you are you are somewhere when you come out of that ride. There are very few rides where you come out of it and you are not ready to go into the queue line for the next thing right there. And it's a space thing. I understand that. They have packed a lot into a little space, but in the amount of space between like the Jungle Cruise and Pirates of the Caribbean at Walt Disney World, Land has put 4 ride entrances in that space. I mean, you've got Tiki Room, Jungle Cruise, Pirates, Indiana Jones, all in that same space. So, yeah, it's really, really tight. But it's cool that way. That's it never bothered me, and we had talked about it a little bit earlier. With as much as at Disneyland, it really felt like people were in queue lines and in restaurants and doing other things and not walking between things, where it feels like at World everybody's between something because they're always in choke points and that kind of stuff. And other than a couple of times, we never felt like that at Land. So my number 3 is kind of the spacing of everything is very different. Peter, what is your number 3 difference between Walt Disney World and Disneyland?
See, I think I'm going to be talking about specific differences versus, so one of my like big differences, or one of my favorite things about Disneyland essentially is the way that I'm approaching this. So maybe we phrase this the wrong way, or like maybe I'm taking it the wrong way, but I really like. Okay, so the castle. Let's talk about the castle, right?
Okay.
The castle at Disneyland in California is one of, if not the smallest, but it's definitely down there in the bottom 3 in terms of the ones around the world. And so when you go in, the grandeur that's at Magic Kingdom is kind of dwarfed by that's the castle, because it's not very gaudy and epic and crazy exciting. It's barely taller than the top of the Main Street rooftops versus towering off in the distance like some regal, majestic thing the way that it is at Magic Kingdom. However, what I really enjoy about the Disneyland Castle is the fact that you can go in one side and it will begin telling the story of Sleeping Beauty. You can climb up these stairs and basically go from gallery to gallery to panorama to panorama to painting to figure, reading the story of Sleeping Beauty. And then ultimately, as you come down the other stairs and now you have traversed the castle width, you kind of culminate the Sleeping Beauty story. And all of them are kind of written on, obviously it's wood, but they're designed to kind of look like scrolls. They have that really nice kind of animator writing that the Snow White and the Sleeping Beauty had back when those films were being animated. So just really, really kind of draws you into a story and really makes something that kind of loses the enthusiasm and excitement on outward appearance very, very unique and special on the inward appearance, because you just straight up don't have that at World. You have the tile mosaic in the walkthrough, but that's not nearly what this is. This is an attraction.
Yeah. Disneyland Paris has something very similar in their walk up. So you walk up to the top of their castle, and they've got the same type of thing where it's the story of Sleeping Beauty, and then Paris takes it one step further, and they have the dragon in the basement. So really cool there. Let's go get to our number 2s. My number 2 difference between Disneyland and Disney World is, there's a lot. I'm going to go with the monorail. The monorail is an interesting one, because at Disney World, it is very much a mode of transportation, and that's all it's really there for. is to get people from the ticket and transportation center to the park, to get people from the resort loop hotels around that loop to the park, to the TTA, that kind of stuff, and then to get over to Epcot and back. It's a mode of transportation. At land, it is an attraction, and very much an attraction. The monorails are A, much nicer looking. B, they're shorter. So duck when you go in and out of them, like I didn't do coming out, and just whacked my head. But Disneyland's monorail has 2 stops. There's one inside their Magic Kingdom park, and there's one in their downtown Disney district, which basically is right outside the Disneyland Hotel. So that is a way for people from Disneyland Hotel to get into the park faster, is to jump on the monorail there. You actually have to scan in with your ticket and everything before you get on the monorail at downtown Disney. And then you can ride it into the Magic Kingdom park. But it winds through the Magic Kingdom park. It comes across the front of the main entrance. It goes out down Harbor Boulevard, and then works its way to downtown Disney. Really, really cool. Really cool difference that you can get on it in the park, and it never had a wait time. It was rarely used, other than what felt like at opening and closing, and that was it. So yeah, that is my number 2 difference. Peter, what is your number 2 difference between the two?
Yeah. Your number 2 difference is really good, and it kind of ties in to mine. And so we already kind of mentioned it earlier in the show when we were just kind of doing Matt's trip recap. But the sheer lack of hotels, right?
Yeah.
Disneyland, 3 hotels and only 3 hotels. They have Pixar Pier, which was Paradise Pier that they've then thrown some more IP into, Disneyland Hotel, and Disney's Grand Californian. And so at World, you have, if you count all the resorts and villas, over 25 different, like if you count Polynesian versus Polynesian villas as separate things, which Disney does, you have over 25 resorts. You have multiple value, multiple intermediate, multiple deluxe, villa stays, standard deluxe, all of these different types of things. The values even have suites in 2 of them at Disney World. Whereas here in Disneyland, you straight up have a value, an intermediate, and a deluxe. And what's kind of...
They're all deluxe pricing, though. Hold on, I have no mic on you. Did you hit your mic? I have no mic.
You have no mic.
Yes, I got you now.
I'm back?
You're back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the value resort is high-level moderate pricing. The moderate resort is low to mid-level deluxe pricing, and the deluxe resort rivals the highest that you will find at Disney World. Now, as a result, the reason those prices are so high is because the capacity is so low. So you've really got to branch out and look at all of those neighbor hotels, because if you want those value prices, well, you can go do that by staying at like the Sonesta that's just around the corner. If you want the intermediate price, then go down to the Hilton or the Marriott just down the road. There's lots of things. However, the one pro where Disneyland Hotels actually beats Disney World Hotels, in my opinion, is the simple fact that Grand Californian is so integral into the whole thing. Like, you literally walk out of Grand Californian and you walk in to California Adventure, kind of in the Soarin', Grizzly Bear Run area. And you then walk out the other side of Grand Californian and you're dead in the heart of Disney of downtown Disney. And it is just so cool. When I was there last time, I left California Adventure, swung into the pool bar area, had a drink, left there, and went over to Disney Springs for a little bit, and then continued on to the to the Trader Sam's Grog Grotto. And it was like all of it was just so unique that, you know, Matt and I have talked about this previously in our top three, like top three things I would do if I was in charge of Disney World for a day. Matt and I were all on board with, across that Epcot entrance, give me a deluxe resort built into that monorail.
Mm-hmm.
Like that big ass monorail station, you can literally build a resort around that so that the traffic and the buses still flow underneath and around that hotel. But then that hotel has a get on the monorail to head to Magic Kingdom, or come downstairs and go through a private entrance into Epcot.
Yeah.
Like there is nothing like that at Disney World at all. And you could be like, oh, Contemporary's right there, and the monorail's going the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's still a quarter to a half mile walk from the Contemporary to.
This is straight up walk out of the Grand Californian, and you're at the security checkpoint, and you could be standing in line for Soarin' 3 minutes later.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is seriously. So we ate at Storytellers, one of our meals, and we came out of Storytellers. You go to the left, you go into the next building, and you go straight through the next building, and that's the entrance to California Adventure.
Yeah, it's so unique, and for that reason, right there, when I go with my family, we'll be doing a suite at Grand California, because I want to stay there. I want to be part of it. I want it to just feel like, wow, I am immersed. No bus travel, no nothing. It is just, I am here and I am staying, and it is a great time. So, I think next spring break we are planning that for Grand California. Oh no, sorry. Next spring break's the cruise. Next fall break is Grand Californian.
Awesome. Yeah. You'll have fun. When we walked into Grand Californian, it was like Wilderness Lodge. It was like Great Wolf Lodge. I mean, it's
like Wilderness Lodge mixed with Grand Floridian. You've got the high level finishings, but you have the rustic nature feel. All at the same time. Very impressive.
Yeah, it really, really cool. All right, let's go ahead and get into our number ones.
Yeah, I hit the hotels, so that way you could take whatever you wanted with your number one.
Yeah, so hotels are a great one. With my number one, before I get to that, if you have a better top three than ours, put it in the comments below. Let us know over on the Facebook page at PATM Disney Travel, or go over to the website patmdisneytravel.wixsite.com/planning and let us know what your top three is. My number one, it's got to be the availability of characters. I think when I look back at the trip, it is the one thing that stands out, that we took pictures with characters everywhere. Everywhere we were. You know, in California Adventure, there are characters in Avengers Campus. There are characters in Cars Land. They rotate McQueen and Mater out on the road, and then they have their own character meet and greet spot.
Oh my God, I love that. That is so cool.
Yeah.
That is so amazing how Lightning is there interacting with people, and then he drives away. Yeah. Imagine being an 8-year-old kid and witnessing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you straight up think Lightning McQueen is a real flippin' thing.
Yeah, same thing with Mater. I mean, they do it with Mater too. Mater's got the same interaction and all that kind of stuff. So
that is so unique, so remarkable what they've done in that Cars Land area.
And then, like I said, Avengers Campus. We're walking through Avengers Campus. Black Panther my son had his Spider-Man hoodie, and he comes over, he goes, "Hey, Spider-Man, take a walk with me." And they walk across over to the Mission Breakout sign, and they do posing in front of the Mission Breakout sign. The Spider-Man thing across the top of Web Slingers. They do the animatronic that does the flips, and then Spider-Man comes out the other side, the character, and he rappels down the side of the building and then comes down into the crowd and says, "Okay, we're going to meet over here," and just starts meeting people after that happens. So it's like they integrate all these things really, really well. We were talking a little bit earlier. In their town square area at Land, we came out of a store and there were 7 characters meeting. All 5 of the Fab Five, a princess and Cruella de Vil, were all meeting in the town square area. So you had little lines of like 10 people at these characters. And what's neat is they don't necessarily have a handler with them or directly with them, let's say that. There might be a handler for like 3 or 4 characters that just has a button that says, "Ask me about characters." And then you go and you talk to them and they'll say, "Oh yeah, this character is going to be in this area around this time," and that kind of stuff. With the Lorcana stuff, I actually got a couple of cards signed by characters. And I think it's something that I'm going to continue to do as we go back to the parks, because they were really neat interactions.
That's what I used to do with my Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom cards.
Yeah. So my number one, and if you're on the fence about going to Land but you're a character fan, number one reason to go for me was the amount of characters. I mean, we could go back and we could meet characters for 2 or 3 days and really not have to double up any of the characters that we saw while we were there.
And what's really neat about it is because, like we've talked about before, World is probably about 80% out of town and 20% local. This is the flip. And so all of these characters are so readily accessible because a lot of the people in the park are like, "I'm not going to meet characters. I'm just here to go ride the Matterhorn and have a churro. And then I'm going to go home." Yeah.
All right, Peter, before we get to your number one, people that are going to be booking their Disneyland trips now, how do they do it with you?
Find me on Facebook, Princess of the Mouse Disney Travel. Love to talk to you. Fall is filling up, so come get your spot in my docket, because I especially fall is filling up because I have a 21-person trip to manage. Yeah, that one's gonna be fun. 8 reservations, 21 people. Woo! It's gonna challenge all my cunning to figure out how to get them dining reservations. So, looking forward to it. But without further ado, my number one. It's going to be vague, but I will explain. My number one is what I have really loved about my time out in Disneyland is I love that I can still hold true to the classics, but I can also see the finer embellishments. Let me explain. Okay? This is going to be a very, very grandiose thing. I love that I can still go ride Wild Toad's Wild Ride, or Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I love the Snow White. I love the Alice in Wonderland. I love that I can still go on the Leagues to the Sea, right, with a little Finding Nemo flair. I love all the nostalgic things that are there. But I really love the high-end embellishments. So I think about Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Mm-hmm. Similar ride, way different experience at Land. And it's because they've done more with the scenery and the theming and the experience. Haunted Mansion, great ride at both places. But in Land, I am drawn into the story long before I get on the Doom Buggy. At Pirates, fantastic, but I understand why I'm I'm transported into a fantasy world. I was originally in the Louisiana Bayou.
Yeah. Because
And
you
now
come out of New Orleans Square to get on the ride.
And now all of a sudden I like slipped down this magical portal, and now all of a sudden I've been transported into this old Caribbean pirates theme, right? Just the Indiana Jones queue line, I mean, is just ridiculous. Just ridiculous, right? I think about like the similar things, right? You go to World and you go on Dinosaur, and that's the Indiana Jones ride at Land. And Indiana Jones destroys Dinosaur in theming and experience.
It's not even close.
You go to Test Track and you go to Radiator Springs Racers. Test Track is good. Radiator Springs pantses it and takes its lunch money. You know, like, and I can see the argument for Tower of Terror deserves its nostalgic appeal, and Mission Breakout is fun. So I'm not going to touch those. I love that they didn't. I love that they left one the same business as usual, and one did something new with it. But there's a lot more of the story, whereas at World you wait in line and then you get the story, whereas at Land the story comes to you. And part of that is absolutely because this was Walt's true pet, right? Florida was Walt's dream, but Land was Walt's creation.
Yeah.
He had his hands in the designing and the creating. He curated the original park experience. And because of that, like, there are stories of him traveling all over the world to find macabre things to put into the Haunted Mansion, right? You can feel that. You can feel that World was created with inspiration of Walt. You can feel that Land was created by Walt.
Yeah.
His whimsy, his child love, his desire to bring memories to the family just exudes through the Land experience a lot more than World. So I can live the nostalgia, but the embellishments to tell the story even better exist at Land in many ways that they don't necessarily exist at World, in my opinion. And just simply the fact that it's all right there, it's all contained. I don't have to spend an hour traveling. I don't have to get on this packed bus with this whiny kid that's complaining about the fact that their dad didn't get them a churro.
There were no churro-less kids in my family.
No, not your family. Other families.
Is for damn sure. No, I 100% get that. You know, one thing I went into this trip with was the understanding of the history. And if you're a Disney fan and haven't been to Disney World or Disneyland, it's an experience, and it was fun to walk up to that gate and to see the train come up into that station and to walk around the corner and see that castle and just know that that was the park that Walt built. And it's a lot of things like that that really kind of set it apart. Like you said, you know, the theming outside of the rides to get into the ride. Pirates is such a great example. You're set in New Orleans Square. Hell, half the time Jack Sparrow's up on that balcony talking to people as they're in that line, and you walk in, you hear the New Orleans jazz band playing around the corner, and everything just makes sense as you're walking into that lagoon area. And then you get on the ride, and the ride continues the story that you're already in. So yeah. Toontown, another great example. Their newest area. Yeah. Hell, the sky was the same color as the backdrop. You couldn't tell where the backdrop ended and the sky started when we were back there in the morning. It was crazy. Shannon's got pictures and you can't see the top of the backdrop. It fades into the sky so well, so you feel like you're in a bubble in that area. And it's all that same Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway kind of art style out in this Toontown area, and it's great. So just fantastic stuff.
Yeah, I told myself I was comparing too much, and then I said, you know what? Let me stop comparing. I'm going to enjoy World when I enjoy World. I'm going to enjoy Land when I enjoy Land. But like we kind of said earlier, there are definitely reasons to want to do both and to make sure that both become a staple in your Disney travel experience.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. Well, great top 3, man.
I'd be somewhere at 8:15. What else we got?
What else we got? Well, I was just gonna say it was a great top 3. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the outro, but before I hit the outro, make sure you go over to the YouTube channel, check out new content that we've got up. So World of Color 1, hands down, and you can argue with me on this one, hands down the best night show that Disney's ever done. And Mickey's Mixed Magic is hands down probably the worst. And we saw both. But they're both going to be up on the channel. World of Color 1's already up on the channel. Mickey's Mixed Magic hits the channel tomorrow, Wednesday the 20th. I'm working on the Magic Happens Parade. Magic Happens Parade, again, probably one of the best parades Disney's ever done. Yeah, but Mickey's Mixed Magic, Braden loved it. He loved the music. It's that Mickey short animation style that he loves. It was 100% right up his alley. When you watch the fireworks, all the fireworks are to the left of the castle. Just pro tip. Everything's to the left.
Yeah, when I was there, I actually watched it from the right, so it was actually pretty good.
Yeah, we were on the left-hand side, so all the fireworks are behind the tree.
No, I was way over to the far right, and it was all just right above the castle. It was pretty nice.
But they do put projections on the Matterhorn up and down Main Street on Small World, so lots of different areas to check that out for Mickey's Mixed Magic. But yeah, no, great trip. We'll continue the conversation in the next few weeks. Peter, thanks a lot for joining us tonight, and we will talk to you guys next week. Bye now. Peter with Princesses of the Mouse Disney Travel joined us. We had no news tonight. We talked about our Disneyland trip that we just got back from, and we did a top 3 on differences between Walt Disney World and Disneyland. Are you looking for us on social media? You can find us in a lot of different places over on Facebook at DPI Podcast for the show page, at PATM Disney Travel for the trip planning page. Over on Twitter, it is at Disney Insights. We also have YouTube, Instagram, everything else. Just look up Disney Insights and you'll find us. Thank you guys all for watching, listening, liking, sharing, everything that you do to support the channel. You have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you next Tuesday. Bye now.